thank you for coming here, of course, on this rather hot day. And you're welcome, whether you're visiting us or you're a regular, with a faith or without faith or many faiths, with your sorrows and your happiness and your joys, come as you are. The service is about rural development, faith and the land. And just to remind us that this month we had a few international observances. For example, the 6th of July was World Rural Development Day. The 11th of July was World Population Day. The 12th of July, for the second time in history, is the International Day of Hope. So we need a lot of that. It was started, of course, last year. And the 15th of July, it is World Youth Skills. And as we will see in the reflective address, we need, of course, to look at the land and the future of it as well. And the future includes, of course, our young people. So let's begin with an opening prayer before we even light the chalice. And this prayer is by Thomas Rhodes. Rhodes as the island of Rhodes. We come in a variety of colors, shapes, and sizes. Some of us grow in bunches. Some of us grow alone. Some of us are cupped inwards. And some of us are spread ourselves out quite wide. Some of us are old and dried and tougher than we appear. Some of us are still in bud. Some of us grow low to the ground, and some of us stretch towards the sun. Some of us feel like weeds sometimes. Some of us carry seeds sometimes. Some of us are prickly sometimes. Some of us smell, and all of us are beautiful. What a bouquet of people we are. It's a lovely prayer, isn't it? Full of color. Brilliant. So let's now light the chalice. And before I do that, of course, just to say that, as you very well know, it is an international symbol of Unitarianism and Unitarian Universalism as well. And it is a symbol of freedom of conscience and religion the world over. So let's light our chalice. Okay, so there are no matches, so we'll use the gun. Oh, I say that. And... oh, yeah, it is okay. It is working. That's okay. That's okay. Is all done? Yeah, perfect. That's okay. Nothing is impossible, as the Kaiser used to say. Right, okay, so... prayer. Now, joy and grief, health and sickness, light and darkness, peace and anger, life and death, wholeness and brokenness. We each bring all of these here to this sanctuary of unity in diversity. For this 1 hour of this one day, and pour them out, commingling the oil of our lives, to become the flame of this chalice, the symbol of our shared living faith. And now it's time to sing. So it's going to be hymn 147 from the Purple Book. The words, of course, will appear on the screen. Spirit of earth, root, stone, and tree, which is full of nature. There we are. So, of course, stand as you're able, or, in mind or in spirit.
Fill me with living energy.
beautiful singing, so thank you. You may be seated. And now it's time for poetry. So Sheila is going to read a rather long poem for us, The Land by Rudyard Kipling. So it's, it's, I think, a rather nice one. So we'll see.
This is called The Land by Rudyard Kipling. When Julius Fabricius, sub-prefect of the Weald, in the days of Diocletian, owned our lower river field, he called to him Hobdenius, a Briton of the clay, saying, "What about that river piece for laying in to hay?" And the aged Hobden answered, "I remember as a lad my father told your father that she wanted dreening bad, and the more that you neglect her, the less you'll get her clean. Have it just if you were mine to, but if I was you, I'd dreen." So they drained it long and crossways in the lavish Roman style. Still we find among the river drift their flanks of ancient tile, and in drouthy middle August, when the bones of meadows show, we can trace the lines they followed 1600 years ago. When Julius Fabricius died, as even prefects do, and after certain centuries, imperial Rome died too, then did robbers enter Britain from across the northern main, and our lower river field was won by Ogier the Dane. Well, could Ogier work his warboat? Well, could Ogier wield his brand? Much he knew of foaming waters, not so much of farming land. So he called to him a Hobden of the old unaltered blood, saying, "What about that river piece? She doesn't look no good." And that aged Hobden answered, "'Tain't for me, not interfere, but I've known that bit o' meadow now for 55 year. Have it just if you're mind to, but I've proved it time on time. If you want to change her nature, you have got to give her time." Ogier sent his wains to Lewis, 20 hours solemn walk, and drew back great abundance of the cool, grey, healing chalk. And old Hobden spread it broadcast, never heeding what was in't, which is why in cleaning ditches now and then we find a flint. Ogier died. His sons grew, English Anglo-Saxon was their name, till out of blossomed Normandy another pirate came. For Duke William conquered England and divided with his men, and our lower river field he gained to William of Warenne. But the brook, you know her habit, rose one rainy autumn night and tore down sodden flitches of the bank to left and right. So said William to his bailiff as they rode their dripping rounds, "Hob, what about that river bit? The brook's got up no bounds." And that aged Hobden answered, "'Tain't my business to advise, but you might ha' known 'twould happen from the way the valley lies. Where you can't hold back the water, you must try and save the soil. Have it just if you've a mind to, but if I was you, I'd spile." So they spiled along the watercourse with trunks of willow trees and planks of elms behind them and immortal oaken knees. And when the spates of autumn whirl the gravel beds away, you can see their faithful fragments, iron hard in iron clay. Georgiae Quinti Anno Sexto, I who own the river field, am fortified with title deeds, attested, signed and sealed, guaranteeing me, my assigns, my executors and heirs, all sorts of powers and profits, which are neither mine nor theirs. I have rights of chase and warren, as my dignity requires. I can fish, but Hobden tickles. I can shoot, but Hobden wires. I repair, but he reopens certain gaps which men allege have been used by every Hobden since a Hobden swapped a hedge. Shall I dog his morning progress or the track betraying June? Demand his dinner basket into which my pheasant flew? Confiscate his evening faggot under which my conies ran? And summons him to judgment? I would sooner summons Pan. His dead are in the churchyard, 30 generations laid. Their names were old in history when Doomsday Book was made. And the passion and the piety and prowess of his line have seeded, rooted, fruited in some land the law calls mine. Not for any beast that burrows, not for any bird that flies, would I lose his large, sound counsel, miss his keen, amending eyes. He is bailiff, woodman, wheelwright, field surveyor, engineer, and if flagrantly a poacher, 'tain't for me to interfere. Hob, what about that river bit? I turn to him again, with Fabricius and Ogier and William of Rouen. Have it just if you remind to, but in here he takes command. For whoever pays the taxes, old Miss Hobden owns the land.
Thank you very much, Sheila. I think it was quite beautiful. Long, but really nice. Very nice. So now we move to a short story, as we usually do in our services. And because it is from the Sufi tradition, just to explain one term, which appears at the end, the term naf, or nafs in plural, N-A-F-S, is an Arabic word. And that means it refers to self or soul, encompassing an individual's essence, emotions, desires, will, intellect, the lot. It is a complex concept and has three main types, but let's leave the three types for after the story. So let's go back to the story. It is from Rumi Masnavi, the thirsty man who threw bricks into the water. Intriguing. Right. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled amidst lush green fields, there lived a man who sought solace in the simplicity of nature. His favorite spot was a tall brick wall that overlooked a gentle water stream, its sparkling waters meandering through the countryside. The wall was his refuge, a place where he could sit and ponder. Feeling the cool breeze against his face, he gazed at the tranquil flow of the stream. However, on one fateful day, as he settled atop his familiar perch, he found himself trapped. A sudden gust of wind had blown the only ladder away, leaving him stranded atop the tall wall. Panic gripped him as he realized he couldn't climb down to quench his growing thirst. As the scorching sun beat down upon him, his desperation grew. He felt an unbearable thirst, his throat parched and dry. Frustration and despair washed over him, and in a fit of desperation, he started picking at the bricks of the wall. One by one, he tore them away, throwing them into the water stream below. As the bricks splashed into the water, a symphony of soothing sounds filled the air. The gentle splashing became a balm to his ears, momentarily easing his thirst and providing a sense of relief. The more bricks he threw, the more enchanting the sound became. It was as if the water itself was singing to him, whispering secrets of comfort and respite. Driven by the captivating music of the water, he continued to dismantle the wall brick by brick. "Why are you throwing bricks on me?" he heard the water stream complaining to him. "There are two benefits," the person replied. "With each brick thrown in water, it is music to my ears. Second, the more bricks I throw, the closer I get to the water." With each brick he removed, the wall grew shorter, bringing him closer to the inviting stream below. As the wall diminished in height, his spirit soared. He felt an indescribable connection with the flowing water, as if it was calling out to him, promising relief from his plight. Each brick of nafs, so we explain that word, that you break and throw away, the closer it is taking you to God. So that was the story from the Sufi tradition. And if you want to know the 3 levels of the nafs, I can go into that very briefly, though we're not doing now theology. So it is the first naf is nafs ul amara. Pronunciation, of course, is ridiculous, but anyway. The commanding self, so often associated with base desires. The nafs ul lavama, again, not sure if it's pronounced like that, the self-reproaching soul, which reflects self-awareness and moral consciousness. And the third one is the nafs ul mutmaina, the soul at peace, representing tranquility and commitment in faith. So it's a beautiful concept. And that takes us to more singing. We've got a second hymn, which is number 242, this time from the Green Book, if you're using a book. Okay, the words will appear on the screen, and it is called For the Strength of the Hills. Again, stand in body or in spirit, as you prefer. much. You may be seated. We have not sung that, of course, many times, but you did very well considering that. Brilliant. So, time for meditation, initially with words, and then I will give you some time, of course, in silence. So, this is a very short extract from Humility, Anger, and Grace, Meditations Towards a Life That Matters by Nancy Crampine. So you may sit comfortably, of course, concentrate on your breathing if you like, and here it goes. This is the heartbeat of existence. This moment here, when grace breaks through the meaninglessness of objects in space. Meaning breaks through our busyness and stops us in our tracks. With a simple turning, we are met with divinity. The infinite dwells in the finite. The moments of this world are worthy of love, worthy of our attachment and devotion, because it is through those moments we enter into the divine. It is through this abundance, unmerited by even our best moments, that we discover the holiness in time, which is grace. And now a couple of minutes of total silence, and I'll remind you when it ends. And we can now gently loosen our concentration and return to this space. We now have a series of 3 short readings, and the first one is by Reverend Cliff Reed, a Unitarian minister, and the title is, Do Unitarians See Environmental Issues as Religious? That is quite topical because we're talking about the land. So this is from his book, Unitarian, What's That? Okay, and this is going to be read by Marianne, and she's coming now to the lectern.
Right. Do Unitarians see environmental issues as religious? As people who place their primary religious concerns on life in this world, Unitarians are much concerned with environmental issues. Historically, we have been deeply interested both in the scientific study of our natural environment and in seeing it as a spiritual resource, alive with the divine. This remains the case today. Unitarian devotional writing and hymnody reflect a deep sense of the sacredness of the natural world. Many Unitarians are active in environmental and conservation organizations. Unitarian worship often reflects spirituality on these subjects and also celebrates the natural cycle of the seasons. Among Unitarians, there is considerable interest in creation spirituality. Makes me think of Erna. Not to be confused with creationism. Unitarians may see creation spirituality in a Judeo-Christian context, the creation as blessing, as the pregnant manifestation of God's unfolding creative power. They may also look to other traditions, which, for example, see the Mother Earth as mother, to be revered and respected, with all natural phenomena replete with spiritual significance. Whatever the theological underpinning, which some may not see as necessary anyway, care for the environment is now seen as an important aspect of liberal religious life. This is both for its own sake and for the sake of all present and future generations of the Earth's inhabitants. Unitarians regard the maintenance of a sustainable, diverse, and beautiful environment, natural and human, as needful for our survival and our well-being as a species.
Thank you, Marianne. The second reading is going to be read by me, so that is from this book here that you can see. Gratitude for Your Bounty. And this book is called For Praying Out Loud, Interfaith Prayers for Public Occasions. We have a copy of this in the church, but this is my own. Gratitude for your bounty. Source of all that is, was, will be, loving Spirit, moving in and through all, we call ourselves to awareness of your presence. In awe and wonder, we remember your power and grace, the beauty of the world you have given us, the amazing diversity of life, the richness of the challenges of creation to which you call us. You remind us to care for and about one another and all creation, to be worthy stewards, responsible for our parts in process. We are grateful for the gifts and the challenges. We're grateful for brothers and sisters who rise to the call to give generously and fully of time, energy, and money. As we are all here today, may we never forget your bounty and our gratitude, nor discount the challenges to which you continue to call us. We are indeed blessed by generosity. May we always honor and fulfill our promises with love to you. So be it. Blessed be. Shalom. Amen. And then we come to the third reading, which is from maybe not so well known, I think, A Golden Treasury of the Bible. This is by Lindsay Press, and this is a Unitarian press association. So this is The Fruitful Earth, very topical, of course, to be read by Viv, I believe, or no, okay, yes, that's Lisa, sorry, yes. Because I had Anne here, so yeah, confusion of the names, yes, So Lisa is coming to read.
The fruitful earth. Praise waiteth for thee, O God in Zion, and unto thee shall the vow be performed, O thou that hearest prayer, unto thee shall all flesh come. Blessed is the man whom thou choosest and causest to approach unto thee, that he may dwell in thy courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of thy house, even of thy holy temple. By terrible things thou wilt answer us in righteousness, O God of our salvation, who art the confidence of all the ends of the earth, and of them that are afar off upon the sea, which by his strength setteth fast the mountains, being girded about with power, which stilleth the raging of the seas, the noise of their waves, and the tumult of the people. They also that dwell in the uttermost parts are afraid at thy tokens. Thou makest the outgoings of the morning and evening to rejoice. Thou visitest the earth and waterest it. Thou greatly enrichest it. With the river of God, which is full of water, thou providest them corn, when thou hast so prepared for it. Thou waterest the furrows thereof abundantly. Thou settlest the ridges thereof. Thou makest it soft with showers. Thou blessest the springing thereof. Thou crownest the year with thy goodness, and thy paths drop fatness. They drop upon the pastures of the wilderness, and the hills are girded with joy. The pastures are clothed with flocks. The valleys also are covered over with corn. They shout for joy. They also sing.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for reading that. And now we have a little issue with the music, I think. I had some lovely music for you to reflect before we have the reflective address, but since it is not going to play, I'm going to read two little bits from the affirmations here. You don't have to stand up or to sing anything. It's just the first one, you know very, very well. It is at the front of every Unitarian hymn book in this church. It is the Universal Prayer for Peace that Mother Teresa and the late Princess Diana recited in London in 1981 in this present form. And of course, for us to be able to cultivate the land, we need to have peace. So let me read this beautiful prayer and one more. Lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead me from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead me from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. Peace, peace, peace. And the second one is another traditional affirmation, again, to bless the things that we do with our hands and the things that we say and so on, very short. May the deeds we do with our hands and the words we speak with our lips and the thoughts that we think with our minds and the things we feel in our hearts be at all times worthy of the divine spark within us. And now we move on to the reflective address, which tries to put all of these things together, the hope, the young people, the land, the faith, everything. So, let us begin our reflection with gratitude for the gift of the earth beneath our feet and for the communities which have shaped, cultivated, and cherished it through countless generations. Rural life has always demanded patience, resilience, cooperation, and hope. Whether we farm the land, steward woodlands, care for animals, or simply find renewal in open landscapes, we are reminded that our lives are woven into a greater web of relationships. As Unitarians, we do not claim a single creed or exclusive revelation. Instead, we seek wisdom wherever it may be found, believing truth is enriched through dialogue, experience, reason, and compassion. We affirm that every person possesses inherent worth and dignity, and that our shared responsibility extends beyond humanity to the wider community of life. Rural development, therefore, is not merely an economic challenge. It is a moral and spiritual calling. It asks how we might create communities where people flourish without diminishing the flourishing of the earth itself. The land is not simply a resource to be consumed. It is our home, our teacher, and our inheritance. We receive it from those who came before us, and we hold it in trust for those yet to come. Every field carries memories. Every river bears witness to generations who drank from its waters. Every ancient tree reminds us that time moves more slowly than our own ambitions. This understanding is echoed in many of the world's spiritual traditions. Within Hinduism, for example, the natural world is often understood as infused with the sacred. Rivers are honored as living realities, like, for example, the Ganges in India, but even in other religions, like the Nile in ancient Egypt, and so on. Mountains become places of pilgrimage. There are many of those in Japan and Korea, for example. And the earth herself, and I'm using herself, not itself, because of the deity aspect of it. So the earth herself is approached with reverence. The principle of ahimsa, ahimsa, or non-harm, if you want it translated, is a Hindu concept. It is also used in Buddhism. It encourages us to consider carefully how our actions affect every living being. While no society perfectly embodies its highest ideals, this vision reminds us that development should never become detached from compassion or respect for life in all its forms. Across many African spiritual traditions, we find another profound insight: the recognition that humanity exists within a living network of relationships that include ancestors, the natural world, the future generations. Land is rarely viewed as private property alone. It is a place of belonging, memory, identity, and sacred responsibility. Communities understand that the well-being of people and the well-being of the land are inseparable. When one suffers, so does the other. And you can find many stories of I was researching these. There are quite a few different ones from many different African traditions about the land. For example, the several tribes of Nigeria have some of those lovely stories, and many more. Just to give an example. Pagan traditions, both ancient and contemporary, likewise, remind us of the sacred rhythms of the seasons, the turning of the year, the cycles of planting and harvest, the waxing and waning of light. All become occasions for gratitude and reflection. Rather than seeking to dominate nature, many pagan paths encourage participation within it, recognizing that human life is healthiest when it follows the patterns of balance, renewal, and reciprocity. As Unitarians, we do not adopt every belief within these traditions to appreciate the wisdom they offer. Instead, we recognize shared values: reverence for life, humility before nature, gratitude for abundance, as we saw in the prayer, and responsibility for stewardship, another word in the prayer. These insights enrich our own understanding and deepen our commitment to care for the creation in all its diversity. The challenges facing rural communities today are considerable. Climate change alters familiar seasons, as we know. Young people often live in search of opportunity elsewhere. Traditional skills disappear. Farms struggle against economic pressures. Biodiversity declines. Rural isolation affects mental health and community resilience. Development cannot simply mean larger profits or greater productivity if it leaves communities fragmented and landscapes exhausted. True rural development asks different questions. Does this strengthen local communities? Does it preserve fertile soil for future generations? Does it protect rivers, forests, wildlife, and pollinators? Does it create opportunities for young families while honoring the wisdom of older generations? And does it encourage cooperation instead of exploitation? Faith has an important contribution to make here. Faith reminds us that value cannot always be measured in financial terms. A healthy woodland, a thriving village hall, neighbors who know one another, children able to play safely outdoors, and traditions passed from one generation to another all represent forms of wealth that no market can fully calculate. Our spiritual lives invite us to cultivate virtues especially needed in rural development: patience rather than haste, stewardship rather than ownership, generosity rather than greed, cooperation rather than competition. These are not merely personal virtues, they become guiding principles for community life and public policy. The farmer who improves the soil rather than exhausting it performs an act of hope. The volunteer who restores a footpath strengthens community. The conservationist protecting wetlands serves both wildlife and future generations. In addition to essential skills, as I talked about the youth earlier on, the teacher is helping children appreciate local landscapes, plants, seeds, which may flourish, of course, for decades. Rural development succeeds not through one heroic effort, but through thousands of faithful acts of care. There is also an important lesson in diversity. Healthy ecosystems depend upon diversity of species. Healthy rural economies depend upon diversity of livelihoods. Healthy communities depend upon diversity of gifts, experiences, and perspectives. Likewise, healthy spiritual life is enriched through listening respectfully across different traditions. Unitarianism has long encouraged freedom of thought and conscience, as we said when we lit, of course, our chalice, alongside responsibility. So we always say that we need to act responsibly. We need to not fear learning from others. Indeed, our own faith grows stronger when we encounter different ways of understanding the sacred. Hindu reverence for life, as we saw, African spirituality understandings of community and ancestry, we need those too, pagan celebration of the seasons, and the Unitarian commitment to reason, compassion, and freedom, all remind us that wisdom is never exhausted by a single voice. Yet, reverence alone is not enough. Reflection must become action. If we speak of loving the earth, we must care for it. If we honor rural communities, we must invest in them. If we celebrate biodiversity, lost my words, we must protect habitats. If we value future generations, we must leave them clean water, healthy soil, stable climates, and thriving communities. Hope is not passive optimism. Hope is an active decision to participate in renewal. Every tree planted, every stream restored, every apprentice trained, every community garden established, including ours, we'll come to that, every local enterprise supported becomes a declaration that the future matters. As people of faith and as people of goodwill, we're invited to become partners in that work. We recognize that none of us owns the earth. Rather, we belong to it, just as those before us did, and just as those after us will. Our task is not to perfect the world in our own lifetime, but to leave it healthier, fairer, and more beautiful than we found it. Therefore, to conclude, may we walk gently upon the land. May we cultivate wisdom alongside knowledge and skills. May we honor the labor of those who work the fields and care for the countryside. May we learn from the many spiritual traditions that teach us reverence for the living world, and may our choices, individually and collectively, nurture communities where both people and nature may flourish in harmony. For in caring for the land, we discover that the land also cares for us. In serving one another, we strengthen the bonds that sustain every community. In recognizing the sacredness of life in all its forms, we begin to build a future rooted not only in prosperity, but also in justice, gratitude, and hope. Amen, and so be it. So now there will be some music, which hopefully will play, by Claude Debussy, Clair de Lune. So it's also Moon Day later this month, I forgot to say, so there you go. Something of the moon then. And it's about 4.5 minutes for you to collect your thoughts. And we now come to a time of poetry. And I think Christine is going to read a lovely poem by Mary Oliver called One. So let's hear Christine, if you want to come to the lectern. So One by Mary Oliver.
The mosquito is so small, it takes almost nothing to ruin it. Each leaf the same, and the black ant hurrying
Hi, John.
so many lives.
Time for your meds.
Oh,
Every morning I walk softly and with forward glances down to the ponds and through the pine woods. Mushrooms even have but a brief hour
Yep.
before the slug creeps to the feast, before the pine needles hustle down under the bundles of harsh, beneficent
I'm
rain.
gonna.
How many make up a
Thank you.
world? And then I think of that old idea, the singular and the eternal, one cup in which everything is swirled back to the colour of sea and sky. Imagine it, a shining cup surely. In the moment in which there is no wind over your shoulder, you stare down into it, and there you are, your own darling face, your own eyes. And then the wind, not thinking of you, just passes by, touching the ant, the mosquito, the leaf, and you know what else. How blue is the sea, how blue is the sky, how blue and tiny and redeemable everything is, even you, even your eyes, even your imagination.
Lovely. Thank you, Christine, so much for that. Brilliant. We come now to our last hymn, which is number 66 from the Purple Book, How Wonderful This World of Thine. So 66. And you may stand as you like.
Are you okay?
hello.
Still on. Almost in. Oh. Stay longer. Winter can.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
That's nice. This one. You can take that one. John, this is chewable, all right?
Beautifully sung. You may
Thank you.
be seated. And we come now to our closing words. Go now in peace, deeply regard each other, truly listen to each other, speak what each of you must speak, be ready in any moment to disarm your own hearts, and always live as if a realm of love have just begun. So be it. Blessed be. Amen. And we now extinguish the chalice.